Hello, welcome to the pilot episode of Big Ol' Critties, a brand new all-girl D&D podcast. I'm Emily, I'm your dungeon master and host, and I'm joined by three lovely ladies. Would you like to introduce yourselves, starting from Laura?
Yes, I'm Laura, and I'll be playing Sarathis.
I am Brenna, and I will be playing Gwenera.
And I'm Hannah, and I'm going to be playing Selwyn.
Amazing, right. Not going to go any further than that. Shall we play some D&D?
Yes,
Do it.
We begin, as all good D&D adventures do, in a tavern. You're a group of long-time adventurers meeting for the first time in the slightly shitty but always reliable Weathered Spoon. A reference that our international listeners may not understand. Google it, you won't be disappointed.
Oh.
The carpet has a seizure-inducing pattern. You have to traverse 12 flights of stairs before you reach the bathrooms, and there are a lot of patrons sipping from large cocktail pitchers that you know for a fact are 90% water. You are sitting at a table waiting for Dr. Talia Baum, an archaeology professor at the University of Winterbourne. She recently placed an advert in the local newspaper, The Sending Stone, stating that she was putting together a team for an expedition to Stormwatch Peak, tallest mountain in the country, and you have all come to the local tavern to meet her and get some more information about the trip. So across the table sits a tall elven woman with dark blue hair and jet black leather armour, and she's nursing a drink of what looks to be some sort of whiskey, perhaps a mead, and is twirling a dagger in her free hand, very obviously trying to look cool. Beside her sits a broad-shouldered dwarven man sipping a tankard of ale, and he seems to already be a little bit drunk. There are also two humans sat opposite you that, if you had to guess, you would probably assume they're brother and sister. They seem quite quiet and look like they're sizing everyone up around the table. And we're going to take this as an opportunity to describe what the other people at the table see when they look at you guys. So, should we start with Laura again?
Okay, so Sarathis is a tiefling cleric. She has dark purplish skin and white hair, which is short at the back but long at the front. She has a yellow star in her forehead, and she has grey yellow eyes, and she has two big purplish horns curling around her long ears.
Okay, Brenna?
So, Gwenera is a Eladrin druid who is permanently in the winter state. She has long white hair, which in the sun you'll catch glimpses of blue. I like to think of her, this is very specific, like Queen of Narnia, but specifically in, I think it's Prince Caspian, where she's behind the ice wall.
Yes.
Mix of her and Galadriel when she's like, "You shall have a queen."
Amazing,
blah, blah,
love
blah,
it.
blah. I kind of like those vibes for her, but she's nice, really. Eventually.
Cool.
Selwyn, it is a soft C, as I found out the other day. She is of normal height, about 5'5". She's very, very pale. She's got very white hair, but it's blue at the roots and it kind of fades out. She is a half-elf wizard. She tries to keep herself to herself. And yeah, she's just a chill guy.
Nice, cool. So you're all sitting around this table, you're drinking your drinks and making uncomfortable small talk with the other people at the table. And the door opens and a dark-haired woman stumbles in. She sort of shakes the snow off her boots and she hangs up her fluffy coat at the door. She's sort of rubbing her hands together from the cold before she heads over to your table. She goes, "Sorry I'm late, everyone. Thank you all for coming." She hauls a heavy satchel onto the table and begins pulling out files and papers. It all looks very unorganised. I know the advertisement was vague, but I couldn't risk everyone knowing the nature of the expedition. As I'm sure you're all aware, I'm Professor Talia Baum, and I will be leading this excursion to Stormwatch Peak. I've been researching the area for some time now, and I believe that I have located the site of the lost city of Kaldheim. And she looks around the table in wild excitement, and she waits for someone to speak, and she's clearly expecting someone to have heard of the city before, but she is just met with blank stares from all corners of the table. So, realising that none of this group are aware of the site, she sort of clears her throat and rifles through her papers, eventually pulling out a sheet of parchment containing sketches of the ancient city. She slides it into the middle of the table, alongside some files containing images of various artefacts and maps. And she sort of gathers herself again. She goes, Kaldheim is said to be home to an ancient civilization of people. It was lost to an avalanche thousands of years ago. Most scholars believe it to be a myth, but I know it's real. My father spent his entire life studying it, and I've dedicated my career to proving him right. After 12 years of personal study, alongside my father's 50 years of research, I'm confident that I've located its whereabouts. So she says, my father conducted an archaeological dig 2 years ago. His party, my mother included, were killed in a blizzard, and he has been unable to speak or walk or really do much of anything since. She pulls out a portrait of her father alongside his five teammates. The image is labelled from left to right. Baum, Hamlin, Rue, Decker, and Emlyn, the surnames of the expedition team. He's currently living in a retirement home just south of Winterbourne, and his personal items were sent to me. Among them was his journal and a piece of pottery that the university dismissed as being just local to the area. And she reaches under her shirt and pulls out a pendant containing the piece that she's talking about, that she's made into a necklace and she now wears around her neck. But the piece had markings on it that didn't quite look right to me. Within his journal were hundreds of sketches of similar markings alongside coded messages that I managed to decipher. He and his party were close to the correct site but had miscalculated it by a few miles. But I believe I've accurately calculated the correct location. I won't lie to you all, this is going to be a difficult venture. The mountains are harsh and have claimed many lives, but if you're willing to join me, I will make it worth your while. And she slides over to you a contract, which contains a disclaimer about the perils of the mission and a payment figure of 500 gold pieces each upon return. No need to sign now, discuss it amongst yourselves and come to a decision. Those of you who wish to join me will find me outside the university tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. sharp with supplies and transport. And before any of you can react, she collects up her papers and stuffs them into her satchel, wrapping herself up in her coat before she heads out the tavern again.
Okay.
Interesting. I might want to inspect said contract, just to see if there's anything suspicious.
So you have a look over it, and like I said, there's a lot of jargon about, potential loss of limbs, potential loss of life, potential frostbite, and all the potential dangers, but it's nothing unusual considering it is an expedition up to, one of the tallest mountains in the country, so it's pretty standard as far as you can tell.
Excellent. If everyone's keen.
Yeah,
I'm keen.
Guinevra's already signed it.
She's already signed it.
She's already signed it, yeah. She knew what she was coming here for.
Brilliant.
Saru just goes where she's needed, so she feels like she's needed on this party.
Okay. So, you've all decided you're going. So the next morning you arrive at university bright and early, and as promised there are packs waiting for each of you, alongside a large cart pulled by a huge shire horse. Behind the cart, a half-orc man helps Professor load gear and equipment onto it. She runs over to you and she goes, "Oh, I'm so glad someone showed up." She sounds slightly out of breath from all the heavy lifting. I was a little bit worried that this venture would be a bit too extreme for people, I won't lie to you. And once all the gear and your new packs are loaded into the cart, the professor gestures for you all to climb on board. It's a bit cramped, I'll admit, but this is only for the duration of a day's ride. We have to travel to a small village at the foothills of the mountain first. There we'll be met by my colleague, who will assist us on the next part of our journey. So, as you leave, you sort of leaving the town of Winterbourne behind you, and the weather seems to harshen. No longer lit by the warm glow of the fireplaces and the frosted windows, the wilderness seems bleak and cruel. A vast blanket of snow stretches for miles ahead of you, and the horse perseveres through the difficult roads, clearly used to this kind of weather. Eventually, as promised, you begin to see the distant glow of a small village, and Talia turns in her seat as the cart comes to a stop. "I'm afraid we'll have to walk the next mile or so. We can't take the cart across the bridge into Frostwall." And as you look ahead, you see a large, yawning canyon in front of you, seeming to cleave the world in two. It seems to stretch for miles, and there's no visible end on either side. A wooden rope bridge stretches sturdily across it. Despite the rope creaking under the strength of the wind, you can tell that this bridge has been trusted for years to safely transport the people of Frostwall to and from their town. And Talia and the half-orc driver, who introduces himself as Saruk, begin hauling the gear off the cart again and piling it into the snow. And I would like a perception check from each of you.
Okay, mine's 16.
16? Mm-hmm.
Mine is 15.
19.
19. Okay, cool. So you all manage to spot a speck of bright red near the start of the bridge, stark against the blinding white of the snow. As you go to take a closer look, you realise that there is a body lying in the ground.
Oh, God.
It appears to have been there for some time and is half buried by the fresh snow.
Can I perception check the body?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a little look. What do I get? 19.
19. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, as you have a look at this body, there's nothing to suggest that it's been attacked by anything. It looks, by all accounts, like frostbite. He just hasn't made it across to the safety of the town.
Can I go up to him and give him some blessing?
Nice. Yeah. So sort of helping any potential spirits go across the skill set. Love it. Okay. So as you are doing this, you hear a growl. Echoing through the snow, and standing just a few meters away from you is a Thrimhound, which is a giant white wolf with jagged crystals of ice lining its back. The hound slowly paces around you. In this unforgiving cold, you're standing right next to the first meal it's probably had in days. You hear the snap of a twig behind you, and without realising it, you have been surrounded by a pack of these beasts. Okay. And for the very first time in the podcast, I would like everyone to roll initiative.
Is that another D20?
That is another D20, and you have your initiative bonus. For a cleric, you are insane. You've got a +5 to your initiative.
Oh. Well, that's good, because I had a 3.
Okay.
Mine's an 8.
Yeah, same.
Mine's a 19.
Okay, so as
always
per,
really
Brenna goes first.
And I hate it.
Okay, so let me roll for the
Always.
wolves. Brenna, it is your go first.
Fun. I'm going to cast, what was it? Frostbite on the wolf, because I've been inspired by the frostbitten body. So that is 18.
That hits.
So it's 2d6. 5.
Okay, so it is wolf number 1's turn. It is going to go at you with a bite.
So it has disadvantage.
Okay.
Does it fail? Yeah, on the next weapon attack roll it makes before the end of the next turn.
Okay, cool. Right, so disadvantage. That's going to be a 4 to hit you, Brenna.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. It does get a multi-attack, though, so that's a 15 to hit on this one.
That does hit.
That is going to be 8 piercing damage to you. Okay, right, so wolf number 2 is going to go for Laura. And that one. So that is not going to hit. So yeah, the wolf number 2 tucks his tail between its legs, and that ends its go. Wolf number 4's turn. That is going to be an 18 to hit, I'm afraid.
Shit. That's my armor class, isn't it?
Yeah, meets it, beats it. Okay, so it is going to go for you with a claw attack.
What do I need to roll?
You don't need to roll anything.
Okay.
So that's going to be 6 damage.
Oh, that's not too bad then, is it?
Okay, and Laura, it is your go.
Okay, so I think I want to try and use a darkness spell to make darkness before all opens, so we can run away.
As you cast it, the darkness sort of starts from a ball in your hand, and it kind of spreads out, and obviously you can't see how the wolves are reacting, but you can hear their sort of kind of doing the like panicked chirping that dogs do. And are you taking this as an opportunity to sort of step away?
Well, I'd want to get everyone out, but I can't.
I mean, you can communicate with your party. You can
Guys, we've got to run now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where are we going to run to?
Over the bridge.
Oh, shit.
Dodge through a couple of wolves.
So because they're in darkness and they can't see you, it wouldn't count as any opportunity attacks because they don't know you're there. I don't know if that's an actual D&D rule, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Anyone in the comments can have a go at me later.
I could be keen if we can make it to the bridge.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to say that the wolves are so distracted by the darkness, they've kind of got a bit of a fuck that attitude, and they're trying to get as far away from the darkness as well. You managed to make it over the bridge, leaving this little huddle of darkness behind you. So you are now across the bridge. Amazing. First combat avoided.
Excellent news.
So, you have successfully evaded the wolves. As the magical darkness kind of dissipates, they see that you are now not threatening their meal, and you can see them over the other side of the bridge dragging this body back to wherever they came from. And while Saruk, the half-orc, immediately, comes over and checks on you, you see that Talia is going straight for her bag. She's not interested in anything else. Despite the hounds not taking any interest in your supplies, she runs for her pack and starts checking that everything's still there. And satisfied, she stands, adjusts her glass, and clears her throat. Is everyone okay?
Apart from being real cold, yeah.
Yes, and she sort of realises that Saruk is giving her this weird look about her bag. He's sort of looking between her and her bag, and she says, I'm sorry, I know it's silly, it's just this work has taken up nearly all of my adult life and most of my father's, and to lose my research now when we're so close in such a stupid way, I would never forgive myself.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so you begin to make your way over the bridge, and although sturdy enough, the bridge does only take 2 people at a time, and you all carefully make your way across, and from there it's only a half-a-mile walk or so until you reach the tiny, snowed-in village of Frostwall. While it's hard to understand why anyone would choose to live in such an isolated, desolated place, the view of the mountains and the frozen lakes in the distance begin to make up for the lack of civilization. It's stunning vistas all around you. As you enter the town, you're greeted by a stocky human man, made even broader by the thick woolen coat wrapped around him. Talia walks up to him and extends a hand for a handshake, but the man smiles and goes in for a tight hug instead. He turns to the group and offers a wide smile, offering handshakes to everyone in turn. The name's Jacob. I'm sort of the unofficial mayor of Frostwall. Sounds fancier than it is. I'm basically just the only one willing to do all the hard work around here. And he sort of gives Talia sort of one of those fake punches on the shoulder. I hope the journey wasn't too difficult for you, he says, and his words sort of trail off slightly as he notices the blood on your coats.
Wolves.
Wolves?
Wolves.
Yeah, we've had reports about some of the wolves around here. They're getting desperate. It's the winter's setting in, and they're not been able to get as much food as they usually do. So they've been getting closer and closer to the town. We've been having to keep them at bay for a while now. And Talia cuts in. She says, It's nothing. She said, just a minor run-in, nothing our fearless adventurers can't handle. And Jacob helps you with your packs and gear and gestures to a small farmhouse with a large paddock around the back. You'll be bunking with me and the missus tonight, he says. No point setting off now. There's only an hour or so more sunlight tonight, and the mountains are dangerous enough in the daylight as is. And he gives you a quick tour of the town, which doesn't really take very long, as you can literally walk from one end of the town to the other in a matter of about 5 minutes. There's a tiny corner shop for essentials, an even tinier post office, but aside from that, the only buildings are a cluster of small cottages, Jacob's farmhouse, and an inviting-looking pub with a snow-covered sign hanging outside that reads the Elk's Head.
Let's go to the pub. That's going to be my question. Is there a pub? Can we go to it?
Need a warming drink.
Okay, so you enter the pub and you find yourselves in a small room, most of which is taken up by an enormous fireplace to the far side. There's a few patrons in there, and given that it's such a small town, everyone seems to know each other quite well. You find a table in the corner of the room, and a waitress comes over immediately. Well, it's been a while since we've had new folk around here. You them explorers that are going to brave the mountain? Dangerous stuff, that. Old Yuka over there lost his right hand prattling about up those mountains. Isn't that right, Yuka? And an old drunk-looking man, he lifts his hand up in confusion. She goes, no, you twat, the other hand. And he sort of lifts up, he's like, oh. And she goes, well, anyway, you kids be careful on your adventure, won't you? I don't know if that H&C malarkey is actually to be believed, but if there is truth to it, there might also be truth to the rumours about the monster that guards it.
Oh, what? Excuse me?
It's probably just to scare the kids, but rumour has it that there's an ancient beast that guards the city and leaves no survivors when it hunts. You know, the typical myths and legends you get in small towns. It's probably not even real, and you know what? If you do make it back, there'll be drinks waiting for you on the house. And she winks and makes her way back behind the bar. And after a few drinks and some food, I'm assuming, head to Jacob's for the night.
Do they have bar snacks I could take with me?
Oh, of course they have bar snacks you could take with you.
Love bar snacks.
Yeah, what is it you're after?
I don't know. Something salty.
Something salty?
Like nuts or something.
Yeah, they got nuts, they got scratchings, they got all your typical bar snacks.
Can I get a packet of nuts, please?
Yeah, of course, that'll be 1 silver.
1 silver. Oh my god. Now it's the confusing time to calculate the math. I've handed it over.
Lovely.
It's fine.
Is there anything else anyone wants to do while they're in the pub?
I think I'll join in grabbing a bag of nuts.
Yeah, okay, 1 silver as well.
No, Sarah's not going to get anything.
No.
She doesn't want to indulge herself.
So, so you make your way over to Jacob's place, and he's got beds set out for all of you in the sort of cosy but a little bit cramped living room. And you fall asleep to the calming sound of the flickering fireplace. It's, by all accounts, an incredibly cosy and warm house. But the waitress's warning does linger in the back of your mind, as it would. And everyone is going to get the benefit of a long rest there.
Woohoo.
That's where we're going to be ending this week's episode. If you enjoyed the pilot, please consider following us on our socials. We're Big Old Critties on Instagram and big.old.critties on TikTok. A massive thank you to anyone tuning in. We'll be releasing weekly episodes, so come back next week to find out what the girls are going to do next. Also, a big thank you to the Pocket Bard app for providing our music. We're not sponsored, but we love using their app for all of their background music. And speaking of music, my final shout out goes to my wonderful partner Dom for making the fab theme tune. See you next week for another titillating adventure. I hate myself.